What is up, YouTube? It's your boy, Dknows the Guru, and I'm back with another video. This will be the Week 2 preseason recap. Welcome everybody to the live stream. I'll give it a minute or so to see who's going to join. I'll be right back with you. All right, I'm back. Welcome to the stream. I'm going to do a quick recap over week 2. We had the game stretched out over 3 days. There were a few games on yesterday, on Monday, as well as Saturday and Sunday. So without further ado, let me get my banner up here. Bear with me, folks. Still trying to figure out this software. But like I said, I'll get better as the streams go along through the season. Lots to discuss, but I'll try to do it in a condensed, concise way. Again, like, share, comment, subscribe. If this is your first time viewing, welcome to the channel. This is Dknows, the Fantasy Guru. This is a fantasy-only channel. Comment. I'll be watching the inbox. I'll answer questions as we go along through these reviews. Again, this is a fantasy channel, so I'm hitting on fantasy-related information. We don't really care about wins or losses over here. We only care about scoring points and winning our fantasy matchups. So let me get my slides together here. All right. What we got on tap for our first game? We got the Bengals and Tutty, as I like to call them, Tutty. I know I had a little bit of problem with little glitchiness last week. Hopefully we got that resolved. If you do notice that, please hit me in the comments section and I'll see if I can rectify that during the stream. But again, first game recap of the week. We got the Bengals and Tutty, or as I like to call them, the Commanders. Biggest thing I took out of this game is no Brian Robinson Jr. Apparently, he is on the trading block. There's a rookie that was turning heads during training camp. And I believe Rodriguez got the start yesterday, and he looked decent, along with Dknows. I'm not quite sure what the direction of the Commanders are this season. I mean, you had a breakout rookie season by Dknows. You know, you still haven't signed Terry McLaurin. And now you're basically shopping Brian Robinson Jr., who was pivotal in that offense. He was a part of that backfield with Austin Ekeler. Austin Ekeler is at the tail end of his career. Not really sure how much gas he has left. So it's interesting to see how that will play out. I have a short list of teams that Brian Robinson Jr. could potentially end up on. I have the Dolphins, and you'll see why later when I recap that game. The Bengals, you know, they have Brown, and then after that, who knows? A sneaky team actually would be the Houston Texans. Again, with Mixon's injury, it's kind of iffy. And then you picked up Chubb. They picked up Chubb in the offseason. Pierce, I'm not sure, played very much in this weekend's game either. 49ers, they could definitely use another back. Health has been a problem with that team on the offense, and like I said, this is something to monitor in the next couple of weeks to see where he lands. Wherever Brian Washington lands, he's going to destroy that backfield as far as fantasy is concerned. It could turn into, you know, a running back committee, and you know that's like kryptonite to us fantasy folks. So keep an eye on that one. Moving on to our next matchup, we have the Cardinals and the Broncos. I didn't catch much of this game, so I won't elaborate too much about it. I would say that Evan Ingram, if you can get him in your draft, I think Evan Ingram is going to take a lot of teams to the fantasy championship in that offense with Sean Payton and Bo Nix. Again, the backfield situation It's still murky. Not sure how the splits will go between RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins. Something to keep an eye on. As far as the Cardinals are concerned, it's yet to be seen if this is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr.'s coming out party, his sophomore season. That all kind of depends on Kyler Murray and the rest of the offense. Health, again, is also an issue with James Conner. He was relatively healthy last season, but yesterday's price is not today's price. So that remains to be seen. Moving on to our next game, we got the Titans and the Falcons. This was rather entertaining. I watched a good chunk of this game. No Penix Jr. Shocking. He still hasn't really seen him play much in the preseason. I thought he would get a few more reps going into his first season as a starter, but that hasn't happened yet. But the Falcons, I believe, are going to be the most polarizing team in the league based on schedule and their roster and their division. It could go very well for the Falcons, or it can go extremely horrible. So with that team, obviously you're rolling the dice. Again, you have Kyle Pitts. No need to elaborate on him. Everybody knows where I stand with him. You have Bijan Robinson. Bijan, he corrected us. It's pronounced Bijan. So it's Bijan Robinson. And you have Drake London finally ascending into a tier 1 receiver. Excuse me. We'll see if that happens this year. Again, all of that's depending on how that defense plays and how Penix plays as the full-time starter. Again, he didn't play much last year. He played a few games after they benched Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, I believe, is still there. So we'll see. Moving on to our next matchup. We got the Jags and the Saints. No Hunter in this game. In my notes, I wanted to observe the split between Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne Jr. Etienne is coming off his worst season as a pro. I'm expecting a bounce back season from him. As far as the Saints are concerned, Tyler Shough, but it's pronounced like Shaw. I don't know how GH pronounces to a K. Mysteries of the universe. But like I said, we will see how that plays out. Spencer Rattler is the other quarterback in that competition. It's basically two guys finishing first in the ugly pageant. Did you really win? I don't know. Take a wait and see on most of those Saints players. If you haven't had your draft yet, I would take a wait and see approach on those. I would not be reaching for any Saints players. I know, I get it. Somebody's got to score the damn points. I get it, but there's plenty of other options because even Kamara's long in the tooth. Kendre Miller's look decent, but again, very, very brittle, injury prone. I wouldn't waste a pick. I would rather waste a late round pick on a rookie than to deal with any Saints. Again, just my humble opinion. You do as you wish. Moving on to the next matchup, we have the Patriots and the Vikings. In this game, newsflash, Travion Henderson is no longer a secret. I know I talked about him about a week or so ago. I believe more than 2 weeks ago, I said he would be kind of a dark horse, sleeper, no longer a sleeper. Everybody's awake. They've seen him. He could be the real deal. I think he's going to get that starting job. I honestly believe Henderson is going to get that starting job. If not, he's going to have a lion's share of the carries. It may start out 50-50, but it'll slowly start creeping towards Travion Henderson. I know Ramondre Stevenson's got the fumbling issue. Nobody wants that on their team. So let's see on the other side of the coin with the Vikings. Justin Jefferson did return to practice. He's got the hamstring. Again, his average draft position is falling according to ESPN draft results. And a lot of people are passing on JJ in the first round with the uncertainty. So you have the injury, 1. 2, you have a rookie quarterback. 3, you're in a very, very, very strong division. The NFC North is one of the strongest divisions. The worst team in that division is probably the Bears. So I couldn't tell you who was going to finish last in that division. We may get 3 teams out of that division making it into the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if 3 teams. I believe last year 3 teams did make it into the playoffs. But that's news and notes from the Patriots and Vikings. Moving on to our next matchup, we have the Chiefs and the Seahawks. Robert Tonyan, newly acquired from the Packers, let's make that tight end room a little more crowded. He had a decent output. I believe he had 5 receptions, about 60 or 70 yards, perhaps. Good outing for Robert Tonyan. No K9 in this game. Looks like we should see him in week 3. The preseason schedule is a little weird. Typically the middle game is when you have your starters play the most, but I noticed this season that there's no rhyme or reason. Some teams have played their starters in every game. Some teams played their starters more in week 1 than week 2, and vice versa. So essentially, if you didn't see starters in week 2, plan to see them in week 3 for sure, because that'll be the final preseason game before the regular season begins, with that week in between. Lost my train of thought again. The Seahawks, to me, in my opinion, for both of these teams, actually, there are wide receiver concerns. I know there was a latest story a few days ago about Rashee Rice's potential suspension coming at the beginning of the season. Now the hearing has been pushed back to September 30th. So buyer beware. I mean, if you go draft him, you're rolling the dice, because you don't know either how many games he's going to get and when he's going to serve them. So, he could help you at the beginning of your season before the bye week starts, and then you roll him out, or the suspension can come later in the season when you actually need him because the bye weeks have started. So that is that's a landmine I would avoid if I was you. If you haven't drafted already, I would avoid it. I would avoid all the Chiefs receivers, to be honest, and almost take a wait and see approach. Typically similar to the Saints with their murky wide receiver room besides Olave. And I know you have receivers, Rashid Shaheed, but Mahomes likes to spread the ball around. Kelsey had a good offseason from what I've heard. He's gonna be demanding the ball. They'll probably spread it around. So you're playing Russian roulette with Chief receivers. This is nothing new. It's been like that since Tyreek Hill left. Nothing has changed. Rinse and repeat. Moving on to our next matchup, we have the 49ers and the Las Vegas Raiders. As far as the 49ers are concerned, they are banged up, and now they're banged up at running back. Garendo is still injured. I believe Taylor had some kind of knee injury or ankle injury, or maybe it was a shoulder. There's been so many, it's kind of hard to keep up. Essentially, the 49ers are a mash unit. Their wide receiver unit is decimated with injuries. You got McCaffrey coming back from an injury. Kittle is typically injury prone. He might be the damn WR1 out of the tight end position for the 49ers. Although the 49ers do have one of the easiest schedules, if not the easiest schedule in the league, you don't know who the hell is going to play week to week coming out of the gate with all of these injuries. So that's something to keep in mind. As far as the Raiders are concerned, Ashton Genty got a little bit more of a workload than he did in week 1. He looked pretty good from what I've seen. His draft stock is definitely rising. That's for some folks. For me, I just can't draft a rookie running back in the first round until I've seen him actually produce. You're taking a chance. The word on the street is you can't win your league in the draft, but you can damn sure lose it. Again, those first few picks have got to hit. They have to be money. Even with depth, if those first few picks don't hit, you're going to be chasing your ass the whole season. So again, buyer beware with Ashton Genty. I need to see it first, but by that time he won't be available. Most people will have them on roster. If you do draft them, I would try to wait and see if you can maybe get them in the second or third round, and then again take that wait and see approach. One more note on the 49ers. Purdy did play pretty well in that preseason game this weekend. Again, the 49ers do have a very, very easy schedule. Something to keep in mind as you're finishing up your drafts. I know this weekend, I believe, and next weekend are the two heavy draft weekends. So keep that in mind as you head into your drafts. And good luck, by the way. All right, moving on to our next matchup, we have the Bears and the Bills. Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams actually looks like a damn quarterback under Brian Johnson. Again, take it with a grain of salt. It's preseason, it's vanilla plays, but the thing I was looking for with Caleb Williams is pocket presence, patience, and reads. Last year, it was basically playing like his ass was on fire. He didn't want to stay in the pocket. Anytime there was a little pressure, he'd bail and run, and it just turned into sandlot football. Hopefully this year, with Brian Johnson taking over, providing a little more structure to that offense, and then we can really see if Caleb Williams is indeed worth the pick that Chicago selected him with last season. And if the Bears will finally have a 4,000-yard passer, which I don't believe they've ever had in the team's history, which is fucking asinine to be in the league that long and not have a quarterback. I may put a poll up about that one. Whose quarterback history has been the most ass? The Browns, you have to throw them in. Obviously, you would throw the Bears in, the Jets, and I haven't decided on who's the fourth team yet. But be on the lookout in the community section for that poll. I do love polls, so I'll put another poll up. Pause in the community section. As far as the Bills are concerned, they did sign James Cook to a 4-year deal. Again, you still have Ray Davis in that backfield. Again, the wide receiver room is iffy. They have no real stud receiver, a real dog out there at wide receiver. They got a bunch of guys. They got a bunch of slot guys. I know Shakir is the guy that everybody's targeting. And, their tight ends that are tight ends. I took a chance on Dalton a few years, and I never really seen the consistency I wanted to see. So I'm going to humbly pass on him this year. I'm off the Dalton Kincaid trade. I'm off the Dalton Kincaid train. So I am moving on from him, and I would advise you to do as well. Moving on to the next matchup, we got the Browns and the Eagles. The Browns have named Smoking Joe Flacco, still in the league. And my apologies. I know I was supposed to release a short explaining to you what a fantasy vampire, look, I'm even fucking up. Fantasy zombie. Joe Flacco is definitely now a fantasy zombie. This man won't die. He won't go away. He just keeps finding homes in different teams. And he's back with the Browns as your week 1 starter. Shedeur Sanders didn't play with the oblique. As you know, after this week, I think they have to trim the rosters down. That's something to keep an eye on if they're actually going to keep him or Gabriel Davis. Gabriel Davis played this weekend. He didn't look too bad, but Shadeur's numbers were way better than Gabriel Davis. But Browns announcing Joe Flacco is a starter week 1. Nothing to note on the side of the Eagles, so I will keep it pushing because, like I said, I try to make these short and sweet. 35 minutes. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And then I'll leave time at the end for anybody if you have any questions. Or if you want to join me on the chat, I'll put the link into the comment box. All right, moving on to Dolphins and the Lions. Boy, I tell you, this injury bug is a bitch because it apparently A-Chain, man. I think his nickname may need to be A-Pain because this brother stays hurt. He has a soft tissue injury. But what I thought was funny is now the NFL is leeching off of the NHL's injury report monikers in the NHL. If you're not familiar with hockey, they don't specify what the injury is. They only have to specify if it's an upper or lower body. So apparently A-Chain, or as I call him now, A-Pain, has a lower body soft tissue injury. Think about that for a second. Let your mind run with it and come back. All right. So he has a calf injury, apparently, soft tissue injury. I don't know the severity of it. Jalen Wright is the next up. Hence, what I said earlier in the stream about Miami being a potential landing spot for Brian Robinson Jr. with that news hitting the airwaves. As far as the Lions are concerned, not much to note on that side of the ball. So we will move on to our next matchup. Green Bay and the Colts. Again, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you that Daniel Jones could win that job, and it just got confirmed today, or maybe it was yesterday. Daniel Jones will be the week 1 starter for the Colts, beating out Anthony Richardson. Here's the thing about that. Could this be it for Anthony Richardson? The reason I say that, they took this man, I believe, 3rd overall in the draft. And they brought in Daniel Jones as an insurance policy. And they've already cashed in the insurance policy. They didn't wait. They didn't give him a few games to perform and see how he plays. The fact that they have already named Daniel Jones the week 1 starter is an indicting move for me. If you're Anthony, Richardson, I was going to say Robinson. If you're a Richardson supporter, man, it doesn't look good, and I'm not sure if other teams are interested. If it could possibly be a trade. I know the Colts have a pretty decent defense. Their offense is okay. Jonathan Taylor, actually most of the offense, including the wide receivers, all get an uptick with this news that Daniel Jones will be the starting quarterback. Again, with Daniel Jones, it's kind of like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get. He can go out there and get you 100 yards rushing and 300 yards passing, or he can go out and lay a complete egg. You just never know what you're going to get. So again, tread lightly when you're drafting. I would take a late flyer on him as a backup quarterback. Definitely a bye week fill-in. Again, consider that division. The AFC South is one of the weaker divisions, similar to the NFC South. Both of the South divisions are trash. Those teams are going to beat each other up. It should be a lot of points scored. I don't see a lot of good defenses in those two divisions besides the Texans. And the Colts probably have the best 2 defenses, and then the Bucks probably coming in 3rd out of both divisions, the NFC South and the NFC North. Okay, so as far as the Packers are concerned, again, I didn't see much of this game. The jury is still out on Golden, if he can actually be that number 1 receiver. Again, with the Packers, you're dealing with the similar issue as the Bills. They don't have a big physical receiver. They have a lot of the same build slot type receivers. Christian Watson tends to be injury prone. He's got the hamstring. Hamstrings are very, very finicky. It could linger. You just never know what you're going to get out of him. Jacobs is the back. They did move on from Quadzilla. I believe Quadzilla is, I have to check my notes. I'm not sure where Quadzilla landed, but he is no longer with the Packers. I believe he went to the Eagles. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Matter of fact, let me turn those on. Maybe that would help, huh? All right. So yeah, let me also put the link in the description box here if you want to join. I believe I have a couple more games to review. Just bear with me for a second. Bear with me for a second. Find this so I can put it in the chat here. If the music is too loud, let me know as well, and I can get that tuned down for you guys. That's weird. I can't find my share option. It's slowing your boy down, man. I was cooking, and now they're slowing me down. I can't find my share button. There we go. All right. And the link is in the chat. If you want to join the stream and chop it up with your boy, just go ahead and click that link, follow the prompts, and then I'll see you in the backstage, and I'll let you in once I'm done with my recap. So let's get back to the next game. We got the Texans and the Panthers. Notes from this game. Oh, did I skip this one? All right, I'm gonna have to ad-lib it. I didn't write my notes down. So Nick Chubb did get a plenty of playing time in this game with Joe Mixon still out with toe injury. I did say the Texans is another possible landing spot for Brian Robinson Jr. With that news, the fact that the Texans have been pretty quiet about the injury leads me to believe that it's more severe than they want to admit. The thing with Chubb coming back from injury, as you know, he had the horrific knee injury a couple seasons ago. He did come back late last season and he looked slow. Again, it takes about 2 full seasons to come back from those type of injuries. Well, not necessarily seasons, but 2 years. So this will be the second year. So I do expect Nick Chubb possibly as a sleeper for a comeback player of the year. He may very well be week 1 starter if the Texans don't pick up another running back in between now and the start of the season. As far as the Panthers, again, we're going to take a wait and see approach with them as well. I do believe the Panthers will play a lot better football than they did the previous season. Bryce Young seems to be more comfortable in the NFL and that particular offense. Their running back situation is still kind of we'll see. They just got a couple guys back there. Brooks remains to be seen if he was worth the draft pick that they used on him. Again, not much to report from the Panthers camp. Again, it's part of that NFC South. I don't expect much out of those particular teams. All right, moving on to is this our final matchup? This is our final matchup. Oh, we may have one after that. We have the Ravens, the Flock Nation, and the Cowboys, the Delusional Kings, who have yet to sign Micah Parsons. And we are about 2 weeks from the start of the NFL season. Still no Micah Parsons. They gave CeeDee Lamb his money. They went and picked up Pickens in the offseason, but they did not address Micah Parsons. And now, you got the owner coming out saying, I like the drama. I want to keep my team relevant by any means necessary. So, Cowboy fans, we are going on 30 plus years since you guys sniffed the Super Bowl. What's the actual plan in Dallas? Is it just to make money and stay in the headlines, or are you actually trying to compete? I'll never understand what it is about Dallas because I'm a competitive person by nature, but I don't even have words for it at this point. It's just laughable, And if they literally wait till like a day before the season starts to sign Micah Parsons, man, get their ass the buzzer. Seriously, the shit's got to stop. On the other side of the ball, we got Henry in his second season with the Ravens. I think Henry's going to be fine. That was basically a great landing spot for him. I would not shy away from him as far as fantasy is concerned. I know he doesn't catch as many passes as you would like, but the man is pretty much the only bell cow back left in the league. Everybody else is in a timeshare, a 50-50 split, a four-headed monster. Henry's pretty much the guy, and that saves some legs on Lamar and prevents him from running and getting popped in the mouth and getting injured. Interesting to see how they roll D-Hop into that offense. But again, I would not shy away from Derrick Henry in your draft based on that information. And our final game of week 2, we have the Battle of New York, the Battle of Gotham. We got the Jets and the Giants. Now, the Jets. Braylon Allen may be in a 50-50 timeshare with Breece Hall. And I know Breece Hall was going pretty high in drafts. That's something to keep in mind. Now, which one of the two you want? I know Allen is not the best pass catcher, so he won't get a lot of receptions. Breece Hall is an excellent pass catcher. Now, thing to consider, who is pulling the trigger? Justin Fields, who's not the most accurate passer in the world. Yes, he can run, but the man can't hit the ball out of a barn. So you have to weigh that out when you're drafting. Do you take the back that's going to get you a lot of cheap PPR points, or take the bruising in between the tackles back? Now, mind you, they're splitting 50-50. Now, keep this in mind. With Fields liking to run in the red zone, he could vulture a lot of touchdowns away from both of these backs. Another thing to consider. I wouldn't touch any of the Jet wide receivers with a 10-foot pole, hence why I said what I said. Garrett Wilson's draft stock is plummeting, as it should. Besides him, I'm not quite sure who they have that's serviceable. I would only be drafting one of those two running backs from the Jets. Fields could be a bye-week replacement, but don't expect much out of him in that role. Moving on to the other side of the field, the Giants, I believe Jackson Dart's going to win that job from Russell Wilson. It's 2 weeks in a row. Dart's looked pretty good, and he didn't even start this game. Wilson threw a pick. I believe the wide receiver may have ran the wrong route, but as you know, last year Wilson had a problem with interceptions. So Dart may be your next Eli Manning. Think about it. They both went to the same college, Ole Miss. Just saying. Could be the next coming to Eli. He looked pretty good from the limited time I've seen him play. The backfield situation is still dicey. I didn't catch Scatterboo. I wanted to see if they were going to give him some playing time, but Tracy looked good. Tracy looked good last year, and you still have the incumbent Devin Singletary. So again, that's one of those backfields where you never know who's going to get the rock or who's going to get the points. That's just something that you have to just wait and see. That is my week 2 recap. Thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I didn't see anybody jump in to the backstage. If you want to jump on and chop it up with me, I still have a few minutes. Just a note, No Balls, No Glory is coming up shortly after this. So if you want to jump over to that live stream, I will be there as well. That is No Balls, No Glory. And that's around 7:30 Central Standard Time is the start of that podcast. Again, sometime this week, as I promised, I like to keep my word. I will be dropping a short explaining what a fantasy zombie is. Like, I screwed it up. I even screwed it up myself on No Balls, No Glory when I brought it up. I'm going to explain to you in a short, concise way what a fantasy zombie is. As I mentioned, Joe Flacco is the newest fantasy zombie on that list. So I am going to sign out. Greetings and salutations. Everybody have a good evening. If you don't join the stream in about a half an hour or so, you can always catch the replay. If you missed me live, my videos go right to YouTube. You can watch the replay. I do check the comments, so if it's something you want me to talk about or discuss, if you have a draft question or you have a conundrum as far as your keepers are concerned, drop me a line. Or if you want to be secretive, you can email me at dknowsfantasy@gmail. That's all one word. DKNOWS fantasy@gmail. I will holler at y'all soon. Peace.